And money shot. And then, so, fuck. See what I just did? I forgot what I was saying.
No, you were saying back then that the show with the cast and everything and how hard it was to pitch or something like that.
You remember what I was saying? Oh, yeah. So I said, thank you very much. And I said to Joel Silver, like, I'm doing these movies and I don't know if I want to commit to a television series. And he goes, I'm looking at your IMDb. And this, on there, Joel Silver goes, who are you, Parker fucking Posey? That's what you're trying to be? That's why you're turning down X amount of dollars a week so you can go be the fucking ghost dog? But what was amazing was, I've never seen it happen since. And there was this weird energy to it where enormous celebrities would come to action and just surrender and just play ball. Like Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock, Tony Hawk. Like we had all these great...
Only whites, is that it?
Otto and George.
Only white, man.
Ice Cube, man.
Ice Cube.
Ice Cube was funny. That show never
He's
aired.
a crossover.
His show on Action never aired. Did I talk about this ever? His Action never aired. There's 13 Actions. 8 of them are on the DVD. So there's like just 5 floating around that never made it to air. And Ice Cube, I come back from lunch with Hackett playing my uncle, and I go, hey, my daughter was visiting me at work that day on the show, on the character. And I said, where's Georgia? That was the name of the little girl. And Jack Plotnick played my assistant. He said, she's in your office with Ice Cube. And I go, you left my daughter alone with a gangsta rapper? Mm-hmm. And then we go into the office, and Hackett takes his gun out and puts it in Ice Cube's face. But they're on the floor playing Go Fish. Like it's a sweet thing. Like cute. Ice Cube's like sweet. And then Ice Cube goes, hey, what's with all the heat? Pointing to the gun. And I go, you'll have to excuse us, Mr. Cube, lately. And I'm just making some shit up. And it was all ad-libbed. I go, lately we've been having a lot of trouble with... and I pause, and Hackett goes, blacks. And he looks at me, and I go, bats. Black bats. That was all ad-lib. Like, it was blacks. But that was a weird show, because you would just show up, and Buddy Hackett was, like, already there telling stories. Hiya, doll, how are you?
He definitely is like Buddy Hackett is like a guy, like, you can never quote. I only know like 2 Buddy Hackett jokes, but I just love him.
It's like quoting Jackie Martling.
They're
just jokes. A man takes out his wandolier. You know what that is? It's a dick, ma'am. You'll explain it to her, right?
Yeah, a lot of his jokes are like right after World War II jokes, you know, which I find that very manly and cool. Like, I'm on leave. Today's kids, they wouldn't know what that, it's like they're off from the military for a weekend. Like, I got a weekend pass, so I go into town, I'm looking for a little something,
I'm looking for a snake trauma.
Yeah.
Because I want to throw an Arabian party for a friend, like these long yarns, and the payoff isn't that good at all. Yeah, but you're so happy that they're talking to you, you give them this crazy fucking laugh at the end.
He was definitely ahead of his time. I guess he would be the first alternative comic.
Hackett?
No, I'm just trying to think. There's a storyteller. He was definitely before UCB, there was Hackett.
I'll say one thing about Hackett. I knew him the last 6 years of his life. He loved comics. He loved being with us. Ralphie May, Jeff Ross, me. He would have loved you. Like, he adored he wanted to know what we were thinking. He'd call you and just say, what are you doing right now? It's almost, I know you're not a sports guy, but Nomar Garcia-Parra played for the Red Sox, and Ted Williams, the greatest hitter that ever lived, would just call Nomar from like the Florida Keys at 2 a.m. and say, I saw the game today. When you struck out in the 3rd inning, what pitch was that? And they would talk for like an hour about one fucking pitch and what mechanical thing you could have done to change it to hit that ball out or make contact. Oh, yeah. You got to keep the hands down, son. He'd talk about a fucking movie star, good looks, fucking Ted Williams, Jesus. But Hackett would call, and he always wanted to know. I remember when he met Nick Swartz, and he goes, what do you open your show with when you do your show? What do you usually open your show with? And like, hello, and then that. Yeah. And it's incredibly intimidating. It's like a mountain talking to you. Well, and then Swartzen said, oh, really? Like, he didn't know what to and he goes, I usually do like an impression of a roller coaster. And I say, I don't know. I was like, farts and AIDS. And I say, is my impression like a roller coaster? Full blown roller coaster AIDS? And then Hacker goes, do you explain to the audience? This is like, what do you tell me exactly what you say? Like, so that shit went on for like 8 minutes before Nick realized, oh, he literally wants a fucking line reading of my opening thing. So finally, Nicky breaks it down for him, it's humiliating to just do your act for like an old legend. And Hackett sits there and just staring at the wall like the Dalai Lama or walking or somebody weird. I don't know if it was weird or it was enlightened, but he just stared up into space. And then but like, it was clear we were not to leave yet.
Right.
And then he looks to Nick and goes, have you ever thought about trying not explaining to the audience what you're doing and just walk on stage and be on a roller coaster? And Nick goes, no. Never crossed my mind. And if I try it that way, it'll fucking bomb. Yeah. And he was right. But Hackett was a guy like, he'd always say, you got to keep peeling the onion. Nothing is ever done. There's always, and don't let me forget that, because your act is an exact version, living organism of what Hackett was always talking about peeling the onion.
Well, I'm more hack than Hackett.
Nick Leonard Hacker. Nick walked out that night. We were backstage at some benefit. And Nick went out and just sat down and imitated the roller coaster. And the place fucking just stared at him. It's really bizarre. Usually it's like, here's my impression of a roller coaster. He just does all the different faces, the excitement and the screaming and all that. And then he just went out, didn't set it up, and he ate it. And then afterwards, like, I knew Nick would never approach Hackett, and I knew Hackett wouldn't seek him out because Hackett was already in his cups, like on tequila.
Oh, yeah.
I hope I'm not talking out of school. And then I said, hey, how'd it go? And he goes, good. I go, hey, buddy, he tried it. He goes, how did it go? And he goes, not good. Nick just says, not good, like kind of pissed off that he even tried it. And Hackett goes, but you tried it. No one's as brave as you in the whole show tonight. At least you tried it.
That's true.
And you know what it's like. You won't be as afraid next time.
No.
Hackett always said, you got to peel the onion. You got to peel the onion. Nothing in your set or sets or your hours of material, there's not a frame of it. You can't isolate 60 seconds of your act, he used to say, that's finished. It's always evolving and moving and taking a different shape and a different tone and a different volume and a different stance. And you're a guy, not the country, but you're a guy has a good soccer team.
Listen, Power Gay.
All right. You know what? I've been called a lot of things.
Go ahead.
Colin and I were talking about this, about like we hate when a guy goes up and does like that's his set.
Yeah.
Even like great comics like Richard Jenny.
Yeah.
I always felt like you're not talking to me. Like you're doing this shit by rote, and this is a long, depressing road that you've been on, and I am just a fucking stop on your railroad of this is what I say for exactly 49 minutes, and then I just do the exact same thing. But when a guy has moments of actually speaking, I don't mind a bit. How do I put this? I like when guys are real. It sounds so gay to be like, keep it real. But when guys are on stage keeping it real, like you have your set that you'll do.
Yeah.
But and I thought about this today when I was walking around, like, what am I going to talk to Attell about? I love talking about comedy, stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Your stand-up comedy is so unique that you do have bits. However, every single one of your bits, I would say 80% of your bits, routinely, every single time you say, and the 80% changes, you'll say, it's almost like you hashtag your bit just to like a part of the room as an aside.
Like if you walked in, I would do it to you.
Right.
Like I would make sure it was stuff that you liked.
With me in the room and you not knowing I'm in the room, I've seen you do it, and it's almost like a net you're throwing out to let people that are hip enough to know. Like, I know I'm doing a bit, and by me saying whatever this punchline, etc. And like you just saying like, etc. Like people are hip enough in the room to go, this is also what we do for a living is so foolish, and he's letting us in on the fact that, am I making sense?
Yeah, I was just like,
I smoked a ton of hash right before you got here.
There's two things that you brought up that were great. One of them is like Richard Jenny.
One of them is me.
Richard Jenny, who I worked on his show. Jon Stewart got me the writing job on his show when he did the Caroline's Comedy Hour show, and that's where I really learned joke structure, is from watching his act of like bit, set up, tags, tag, act it out, tag it again, like just like how you can elongate a bit. But a lot of people have problems with like some of the stuff he did. But I will say that he was the last ultimate power headliner from that generation of comedy. He was the last power.
He's one of the last content machines.
Yeah, where it was just like an hour and a half of nonstop, like whatever it was. Catholic school, date, they're hackneyed topics, but he would fucking, at the time, the crowd could not get enough of it, and he would not let them rest. It was just bang, 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 bang. And like, as a young comic who was like, you'd have one joke and then you'd be like, now what do I do? You were like, whoa, this guy was like a fucking like loads and loads and like on your back, on your face. It was like when I was like, we get it. Loads. I mean, like, I learned so much from that too. The other thing that you said that I think is so true is that like when a guy goes up there and he's not, he's just doing it like, LA comedy gets a bad name because people are always auditioning. They feel like if they do like, I'm a loser and I live in an apartment, but there's a ghost in here. Like they have a theme to their act. Like to me, that's the most boring type of comedy. I hate that kind of comedy. I love like when people, like when people like, what's my sitcom about? Like, well, listen to my act. I live in a car and my best friend's a porn. Whatever. Everybody had like a theme for a while.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like I hate that kind of comedy. I don't like it.
I hate like. I don't think LA comics get a bad rap. I think they're exactly
this was years ago though,
as good and or bad as we think they are.
Oh, I agree. I'm not putting down the town of that, but
I'll tell
people
you,
come out here to audition, Jay. It's like, what's your sitcom about? But and like their agent says make your act about your sitcom.
But if you go to like Uncab or like Upright Citizens Brigade, you'll see like 2 out of 8 guys that you go, this motherfucker's hilarious.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, this is crazy. But then you'll see 6 guys and you go, like, well, you were just jerking off all over 99 people. Like, this was ridiculous. But
there's better audiences, too.
Have you been surprised on the road? And I want to talk to you a lot about the road. And I have specific questions about Dave loves porn, Dave's old porn.
And I do love porn. Go ahead.
You do love porn.
And I remember when
What's
we were
your favorite
at SNL one time. When we were at SNL one time, we both snuck out to go to a peep show porn theater or something like that. And I was like, it's like, like when you do something for the first time and you're like, you know what? I'm going to end up spending a lot of money doing this for a long time. It was like, I felt that way, like as I was walking back to the office, like feeling good. Like,
nothing like a glory hole to blow the dust off a fella.
Now that's an M&M store, by the way. Now that's a Staples run by a surly.
It was the Laugh Factory for a while.
Oh, that's true.
Show World on Times Square.
But I like when you go to New York, like Times Square, and like you can always say like that's a Staples, and then you walk in and you see people who should be working at a peep show. Like the people like these surly inner city community college kids. Like, what do you want?
Yeah,
folders.
Like, look, we're not going to fire you, but you have to suddenly learn what postage rates are.
Yeah, or just
instead of giving change for $1, I need you to know how much a book of stamps costs because we're turning the whole place over.
I just can't imagine how like New York, like how it used to be so much cooler, and now it's just so whatever.
See, I love it now too. I love all that Disney.
But you're a family guy. It's like built for having a family.
But there's still, if you take the family out of it. If you get drunk or stoned and take a bike cab through Times Square, that's a lot of lights, man.
Not wearing this turban, I can't.
No, you cannot. By the way, you look very relaxed. You look happy. You look just totally like...
Well, there's a Whisker war going on. I think we started that
not you,
when this podcast started.
You're a born killer, bunny.
So,
hey, did you hear that shit about the gooks putting stuff in the grass, making us pacifists? We both
you should have like a Vietnam vet on here at one point.
We both laughed like Muttley, just dueling Muttleys. Have you found? That's what I want to ask you about the road.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think LA comics are just not as good because they don't have as many chances. You don't get to just go to the Cellar, go to the Strip, go to Stand Up New York.
It's about stage time.
Some weird restaurant is like, hey, we're having an open mic night. Come on by. And you just do it because you have nothing else to do. Stage time, yeah. And in New York, you're just surrounded by everything all the time. And you're surrounded by, like, why would I know what a German tourist wears? Like an LA comic is never going to pull that out of his fucking bag as an ad lib. Like, like a German tourist walking around and like name the pants and the exact type of shirt, chest king jacket.
Right.
But because we're around it all the time. And Israelis, like you're always around Israelis and you're around like Russian tow truck drivers and these weird
lot of
Ugandan men selling fucking watches. Like that's nothing you're ever going to get in any other town except New York.
Well, I'm not saying LA. I have no problems with it's it's the ones that I've no problem. I think that there's no good or bad place to do comedy, and I'd say New York is better. But I'm not saying LA comics are bad. I'm just saying the ones that would do their act of like, you know,
don't
I'm a
defend
single.
your position on LA comics. That's not what I'm setting you up for.
No, but I'm trying to backtrack myself and just go like, I hope I didn't get out the word of like, oh, I don't like. It's like it's the ones that like are always
back from lunch with Hackett playing my uncle. And I go, hey, my daughter was visiting me at work that day on the show, on the character. And I said, where's Georgia? That was the name of the little girl. And Jack Plotnick played my assistant. He said, she's in your office with Ice Cube. And I go, you left my daughter alone with a gangsta rapper? I've never seen it happen since. And there was this weird energy to it where enormous celebrities would come to action and just surrender and just play ball, like Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock, Tony Hawk. Like we had all these great.
Only whites, is that it?
Otto and George,
only white men.
Ice Cube, and Money Shot, and then so, fuck. See what I just did? I forgot what I was saying.
No, you were saying back then that the show with the cast and everything and how hard it was to pitch or something like that.
You remember what I was saying? Oh, yeah. So I said, thank you very much. And I said to Joel Silver, like, I'm doing these movies, and I don't know if I want to commit to a television series. And he goes, I'm looking at your IMDb. And Joel Silver goes, who are you, Parker fucking Posey? That's what you're trying to be? That's why you're turning down X amount of dollars a week so you can go be the fucking ghost dog? But what was amazing was... Ice Cube was funny. That show never aired.
He's a crossover.
His show on Action never aired. Did I talk about this ever? His Action never aired. There's 13 Actions. 8 of them are on the DVD. So there's like just 5 floating around that never made it to air. And Ice Cube, I come back.